Hello again and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while since I've taken a look at anything with Windows on it. Not really the most opportune way to start out a video, but there you have it. And let me just preface this by saying the last time that I looked at a Microsoft device, specifically a Microsoft Surface device, was the original Microsoft Surface Pro. And I had kind of mixed opinions about it. For my type of usage, it was really not appropriate, but I do a lot of video editing, or at the time I used to do an awful lot more video editing. My tastes have changed, times have changed. I don't do as much video editing as I used to, and I actually do it all on a Mac at this point. So any other devices that I use, be it phones or tablets or whatever, they don't necessarily have to be video oriented. So I use iPhone devices, I use Android devices, and to skip right on ahead to the point, I bought a tablet that I might be using myself, and I might just go ahead and let my wife use because she's been talking about needing some sort of a tablet for herself, and here it is. Today we're going to take a look at the Microsoft Surface Go. Now they do have two different versions of the Surface Go available. There's the baseline model. It's about $399 US wherever it's sold. It comes with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage and a Pentium Gold 4415Y processor. Then there's the model that I've got here. It has the exact same processor, that's why I was reading it off the box, but it also has 128 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM, making it hopefully quite a bit more useful and usable. The other kind of interesting thing about this is it comes running Windows 10s. So the Windows 10s is a different version of Windows that only works with apps that come out of the Microsoft Store, so you can't install third-party apps. You couldn't put something like Handbrake or VLC if it were not in the Microsoft Store, like something you were downloading directly from a company's website. Can't get it. But I think there are a lot more apps than there used to be in that store, still just nowhere near what you'd find in a traditional app store like from Android or from iOS. But I think it's also possible to update this to Windows Home Edition, so at the very least you would be able to use it as a full-fledged Windows device. And without any further ado, I've just been going on and on. I've noticed how long I've been talking already. Let me just open this thing up. We'll see what comes in the package because I'm still not really sure. I did also pick up the Surface Go type cover for it because in the time that I've spent with the iPad Pro, it's kind of a similar device. It's been very, very nice to have that cover with a keyboard on it just in case, because typing on a screen it's kind of not great. But that is one of the things that I really like about the flexibility of a device like this is that you can use it whatever way you choose, as long as that way includes being a tablet or being a tablet with a keyboard that's kind of flimsy attached. Anyway, what's in the box? So there is the Microsoft Surface Go. And if you're familiar with any of the other Surface devices, you might be able to tell this is significantly smaller. It's a 10-inch device. It doesn't have a Core i3, a Core i5, a Core M, anything. It's a Pentium, just double check here, 4415Y Pentium Gold processor. I did pick this up at Best Buy. They had a bundle going on where you could get the tablet, the type cover, and a 1-year subscription to Microsoft Office 365, which we needed for family business type stuff. My wife needed it. And I think the total was $650, something like that. This tablet on its own with the 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage is $549. And like I said, there is also a base model, a cheaper model that's $399. But I tried that one out in the store very briefly and it felt sluggish. The 4 gigs of RAM really didn't help it much. I'm hoping that having more RAM on this one will be a little bit better. And before we walk around the device itself, let me take a look at what else comes in the package. So this looks like some documentation, and that is exactly what it is, just a little booklet. And then presumably this is the charger / cable / whatever else comes in the package. And there you go. Now this does have a bit of a unique charging port, the sort of Surface charging port. I think it is reversible, but I think it's unique to the Surface line of products. And you may not be able to see it on there, but it does say the output is 15 volts at 1.6 amps, which again, very sort of unique. And like I said, I also picked up the Surface Go type cover. It's black, it's not the Alcantara. They do one with what they call Alcantara, which is essentially just microfiber, so I didn't really care for that. But the little bit of time I spent with it in the store, the keys felt very nice, the typing on it was nice. The touchpad, the trackpad here was very nice. The touchpad was very sensitive and clicky. And of course you've got your connection pins up here at the top, but there's nothing else contained in here. There's no battery or anything built into it. It's just a keyboard, an accessory. But here you have the tablet. It mentions over here on the right hand side, you have a headphone jack, look, 3.5mm jack, a USB Type-C port. I cannot remember if I read somewhere that this could be charged over USB-C, but we'll definitely be trying that out. Power connector, that unique power connector we mentioned earlier. The docking connector here on the bottom so you can plug it into the keyboard. Nothing really on the other side. Then on the top you have the power button, the volume rocker, and you can see here on the front the camera and the microphone. The camera actually has the Windows Hello logo there, so it should be able to be used for signing in. And let's just go ahead and pull all this plastic off. Now, one of the things that I do like about the Surface line is the kickstand. I've not found a lot of devices that have really good kickstands. Usually it either opens to one position and stays there, or potentially breaks off, or it's just not very solid. And I did spend a little time with this one in Best Buy, and it flips out, and it does flip all the way around almost to 180 degrees. It flips around to about 140 degrees there. So that's definitely a pretty decent angle, and it can hold very firmly at any angle in between. So wherever you put it, as long as you're not really slamming your hand down on the screen, it's going to be solid there. I like that a lot. But anyway, without any further ado, let me go ahead and power this thing on. Just hold the power button. You can see that Windows logo there. And I did forget to mention, now that I'm looking at it head on, you've got speakers here on either side, so I guess you do have stereo front-facing speakers. That's pretty nice. We're at the just a moment, so it's gonna go through the whole setup process, and boy, those are some thick bezels. But then again, the other device of this kind of form factor that I've been using is the iPad Pro, which, just putting them side by side, if I had the other one down here, the iPad Pro is gonna be significantly thinner, but it does not come with a built-in kickstand, and the bezels on the iPad Pro are pretty decently sized as well. Maybe not quite this big, but pretty big. Anyway, I'm gonna walk through this setup process, and I'll be right back.
I'm Cortana, and I'm here to help. A little sign in here, a touch of Wi-Fi there, and we'll have your PC ready. Let's dig in.
Oh, that clicked in very nicely. And the good thing is, because I can lay this completely flat, I can type on here.
Your region is set to the United States. Is that right?
Yes. Might as well use the voice prompt while I can.
Your keyboard is set to US. Want to stick with that?
Yes.
Mission accomplished. You're all linked up.
I think this keyboard may feel a little more soft touch than the Alcantara one. Wow, it just sat there and listened and waited. But I kind of figured this was going to be a very hard plastic, but it's very soft touch, rubbery feeling all over.
Sit back and relax while we work our magic.
And whenever you're ready to actually set things up, you can pull out the kickstand here on the back and then do the little magic motion here where it clicks together. And of course at this angle you can't see what's going on, but that's sort of the angle that it would be at normally. So let me just lean it back a little so you can see. That's kind of what it would look like day to day, but just for the sake of setting it up, there we go. And at this point, it's installing updates, it's rebooting itself a bunch of times. I'm just gonna let this continue to do its thing. And actually it says the update is almost done. The time that I've been sitting here blathering, it's almost done. It's Windows, so it's probably lying. Boy, that's very firmly attached. A lot more firm than I remember the keyboard of the Surface being. But so far this does feel very solidly put together. The hinge on this was very nice. The connection between the tablet and keyboard is kind of ridiculous. Like, it feels significantly more sturdy and well held together than the iPad Pro and its keyboard. Let me go ahead and finish signing in though. Keyboard's very nice too. It's a little bit cramped, but not so bad that it's hard to type. It's just occasionally I'm gonna make some mistakes. Oh, and it does offer Windows Hello here, so I can hit setup. It's registering my face. I wonder if I can show you that at the same time. Not really. It had me set up a pin as well. And I've used Windows Hello before. The other devices I've used it on have been a bit of a mixed bag. So hopefully, given that this is the Surface device, hopefully it is a little bit better. I don't want to tie it to OneDrive. I don't want to use Cortana really. I probably should, just I've used it before and I wasn't a big fan. And it looks like it's almost done. All done. We just need to get a few more somethings. And I'll have to look into what the process is for switching from Windows 10S to Windows 10 Home, because I've got a feeling that the 10S is just, it's not going to do it for anybody. Good for security, good for the kids if you just wanted your kids to be able to do stuff on it. But for any sort of real work, it's probably not going to work out. But I do reserve the right to be wrong on that. And one day has passed. I ended up using the device a little bit today, probably a couple of hours. And I'm just going to say it out of the box, it comes in Windows 10 S mode, and that's not a great fit for me. So what is Windows S mode, you might be asking? It's something I was not particularly familiar with. Basically, it means that you can only run apps from the Windows Store, nothing third party. You can't even run the Windows command prompt. And some of the stuff that I did today, I took it to work with me, and I attempted to do some stuff that required a command prompt, and it said no. It said if you want to do this, you have to switch over to the non-S mode. Luckily, that is a free option, and I'm going to go ahead and show you very quickly how to do it, because I've got to get out of that because I can't use Google Chrome. I can't use any third-party apps. Very, very limiting. So to go ahead and do that, you would just hit the Windows button down here. you hit the settings menu. Here in the new control panel, as it were, you go to update and security, you go to activation, and then right here in the middle, there's a button that says switch to Windows 10 Home. Maybe you can see it there. Go to the store. That's going to take you to the store. The first time I did this, I looked at it last night, this didn't come up. This says switch out of S mode. That wasn't an option. It had to do all of its updates and everything. And one of those updates involved updating the store to make it work. So now we have that option. I'm going to go ahead and hit get. And we're going to cross our fingers. There we go. It says install. And working on it. Got to make sure you can see. I'm kind of dealing with lots of lights. It means that the angles are kind of weird. And actually, I guess it just went ahead and did it. You're running Windows 10 S mode switch and you're all set. And now on that activation screen, it does show edition is Windows 10 Home. So obviously, first thing I'm going to do is go get Chrome. And now that I've switched over to Windows 10 Home, it is giving me the option to install things. So I'm going to say, yes, please go ahead and install it. And anyway, to sort of round out the Windows S mode, it was a mixed bag. Like I said, there were a lot of things that I couldn't do, and a large part of the issue I think here, again, is not having Chrome, because most of the stuff that I do day in, day out is more optimized to work on Chrome. The other part is just the Pentium processor. It's effectively the Celeron of today, and it's slow, it's laggy, it's sluggish. The larger Surface Pro devices that do have the full Core i5, Core i7s, those are going to be a lot more performant, even though this does have 8 gigs of RAM built in, and some decently fast storage, because the 128 gigs of flash in this is a lot faster than the 64 gigs that comes in the lower price model. The Pentium is just going to be the severe bottleneck on this. It spent a long time last night running updates, and basically it was just not usable during that time. It's a little better now, but even still, doing things like YouTube and Gmail, anytime you click on something, it's just move away for a second. Don't try to hit it a second time, because it's going to go multiple pages if you hit the back button more than once. As for the rest of it, just beyond the performance, the form factor was absolutely great, fit in my backpack very nicely. The keyboard, again, it's a little bit squished in here, but it was fine. I did a little bit of typing on it while I was at work, and it wasn't really a problem. But now that I have Chrome, I can make it my default browser. I think I'll give it another day. I'll try to use this as sort of a primary mobile tablet style device, and we'll see how that works. And we're back one last time just to give a sort of final update. I've been using this tablet as sort of my secondary device, primary device for home entertainment type use, and then secondary device for my day job. Came across a few things I had to do at work. I normally work on a MacBook Pro, but the things I needed to do involved writing some scripts exclusively for use on Windows machines. We've got a lot of contractors that use Windows, so this was what I had available, and I decided to give it a try. For that, this was not exactly the best option. It was a really good sort of analog to what the contractors themselves might be using. We don't know how powerful the machines are going to be, so having something that is a little bit more limited was a good option. But I don't know if I could necessarily suggest paying $650 for something that is relatively underwhelming. For media consumption, it didn't matter whether I was using Microsoft Edge or Chrome. After I got past 3 or 4 browser tabs, it really started to get sluggish, and any sort of video playback, it was just really sluggish on. It played the video fine, but anytime I would try to stop the video and leave the page, come back out of full screen, forward and back in the browser, it would take several seconds at a time. Usable, but painful. For the more work-related stuff, typing documents and running scripts and things, that actually worked pretty well, about as you would expect for a relatively low-powered tablet. The biggest limitation on this thing is just that processor. The Pentium processor, the same one that's in the lower-powered $399 version, that's really hurting this a lot. So realistically, I'm going to go ahead and put links to where you can find this, because it is very interesting, and if you're not looking for something that's super powerful but is very, very portable and runs Windows, full Windows, this is an interesting option. It's not a great one, but it's interesting. I would almost go as far as to say, if you're looking for something in this kind of form factor and you don't mind paying an extra $100, $150, I think this was $650 and $799, so $150 more, will get you the Surface Pro with type cover bundle, Core i5 version, I think. It was pretty interestingly spec'd, and it was a lot more powerful than this is. That probably would have been a better option. It's $150 more. This was about $150 more than it would have been for the 4 gig RAM, 64 gig storage version, so it's just another incremental step up. It's also a little bit bigger for the Surface Pro. But I've rambled on entirely too much about this at this point. I'm going to be keeping it. I'm going to be giving it to my wife, because I think she'll get some good use out of it. Spreadsheet spreadsheets and grocery lists and family accounting related things, this will definitely be right up her alley. Also just useful for being able to put it in a bag and take it on trips and everything, play videos for the kids or for yourself. And the fact that it can charge over a USB-C, that's actually been one of the saving graces for me. I can take my MacBook Pro charger out at work and plug this in and just go all day, just go back and forth between the two whenever I need to. And I did not test the battery life very thoroughly, but I didn't have much problem. I was able to watch a couple of hours of video and have it get down to like 30%, sometimes 40%, work for a couple of hours at work and not have to even think about it. There was just, like I said, 1 or 2 times where I unplugged my MacBook and plugged this in because I was letting it get kind of low and I wanted the extra power, because you do have that little slider in Windows to request more performance. So for $650, this is honestly, it's not all that great. Just have to have your expectations at the right level, I suppose. There are a lot of better options. This one was just kind of interesting, and I think my wife will definitely enjoy it. So links to where you can find this down below. I may also link to that $799 Surface Pro bundle. That would probably be a better option. But thank you guys as always for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. More videos on the way very soon. Hit the thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. Thank you for being around, for helping us get over 100,000 subscribers. I think we're at 107,000 last time I checked, which is absolutely awesome. But I will see you again very soon. Bye, guys.